Hey, Greg here. In this video I will talk about my third week on the road, the week I finally passed into Alaska, and I'll also share with you some of the websites and apps that I use that I would recommend to anyone who's into camping or traveling. Week 3 begins in Whitehorse, a charming little city. Like all cities in the north, it's situated in the middle of a forest, so the view in every direction is pretty amazing. The funny thing about Whitehorse is how many trailers and RVs there are. They have specific routes for them on the roads, and there are certain places they can and can't go. I guess it makes sense because everyone passing through Whitehorse is on some sort of camping trip. Anyways, I didn't do too much in Whitehorse. I basically just used it to regroup and spend a little time with the internet. In this part of the trip, I don't want to be spending too much time in cities anyways. The whole time I was there, I just couldn't wait to get back on the road. So on Wednesday night, I left back on the Alaska Highway, headed for Alaska. Although I did have to wait until midnight to cross the border because my travel insurance didn't kick in until Thursday. This gave me a chance to find a lake and take a bath and relax for a bit before crossing the border, and I ended up getting a beautiful view of the sunset. The Yukon-Alaska border is way different than the main US border, which I'm used to. It's way more relaxed. I guess they have a lot of RVs passing through there, so they didn't bother to search my car or anything. I didn't have to open my trunk. I actually had a pretty cool conversation with the border cop there. At first he was just asking me the routine border questions, you know, where are you from, what do you do for a living, where are you going? But then it transitioned into these questions where I couldn't really tell if he was grilling me or just trying to make conversation. We ended up talking all about my Asia trip last year and about Halifax, where I was born, and all about my car camper setup, which he thought was really cool. He was really intrigued into what I was doing, and he left me with a very valuable piece of knowledge. All of Alaska is a campground. Funnily enough, the campsite I actually planned to stay at that night was full when I got there. So I ended up just finding this dirt road off the side of the highway that led me down about 1 kilometer to this beautiful spot by a river, and I stayed there that night. Better than any campground. There's a million spots like this throughout the highways in Alaska. You never need to drive for more than 10 or 15 minutes to find an amazing place to spend the night. Even as I make this video, I'm just a few hundred meters from the highway by this beautiful little creek. As I was driving through Alaska, I also noticed that the days were getting a lot longer. They were long in the Yukon, but the Alaska Highway just goes north from there, and it got to the point where the sun would kind of just dip below the horizon and come back up. It would barely set. I've been camping pretty well every night in Alaska so far and haven't used a flashlight once. Anyways, once I crossed the border, the highway just got more and more beautiful. It felt so surreal to finally be in Alaska. On my way to Fairbanks, I stopped at a town called North Pole, famous for its year-round Christmas spirit. They even get Santa Claus year-round. It was fun for a visit, but I think if I actually lived there, I would learn to hate Christmas. Finally, I arrived in Fairbanks, the furthest north I have been so far. I was playing some 3-on-3 basketball at a school playground with some of the locals that I met there, and we ended up playing until 1:30 in the morning because it never gets dark in Fairbanks. So this week ends in Fairbanks, and at this point I'll share with you a couple of the apps and websites that I use when on the road. The first item on this list is a website called freecampsites.net. This is an awesome platform. It's just a database of free campsites that people find and post. So it detects your location, or you can input a location, and it finds you the nearest place that you can camp for free. Honestly, up here in the north, it's not really necessary because, as I said before, there's a million places you can stay just off of the highway. But when I first started this trip, I did use it to plan out my route through British Columbia, and I'm sure that I'll be using it a lot more later on in this journey. The second item is a lifesaver in remote areas. It's an app called maps.me, and it's basically just an offline maps app where you can download maps to your phone, and your GPS always knows where you are. So being in Alaska, I don't have a plan for any data or anything like that, so I've been using offline maps the entire time, and it's been working like a charm. You can download maps for any country all over the world. I've downloaded all the maps for Canada and the United States. I've tried out a lot of these different free map apps, and I can definitely say that maps.me is, in my opinion, the easiest to use and the most reliable, which is especially great for me, being a person with a terrible sense of direction. It's the one app that has made the biggest difference on my trip so far. The third item on this list is a website called Gas Buddy. Gas Buddy finds you the cheapest gas in your area. So usually it only saves you a couple cents a liter or a few cents a gallon, but if you use it in every location that you're at, it actually adds up to quite a bit of savings. So that is a great website to use. I use it all the time in every city I'm in. So if you're traveling on a budget, I would definitely recommend all three of these items. They'll help you save on accommodations, they'll help you save on data, and they'll help you save on gas. So that's all I have for you this week. Thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you same time, different place next week.